Hello there, and welcome to another video. So, as the title says, today we're going to be talking about the new update, or specifically kind of a review of the update after it being out. So it's been out for almost a week at this point. I've spent quite a lot of time just kind of playing with it and stuff. And as the title is suggesting, was it worth the wait? And it's a bit of a complex question without sounding really cliche and clickbaity. The simple answer, if you don't want to sit here and hear me ramble on for several minutes, is for the most part, yes, I do think it was worth the wait. But there's some caveats that I think we should get into. So if you're interested, if you've gotten your fill and stuff, fair enough. Have a good day. But if you are here to kind of listen to me ramble, we'll kind of break it down. So when it comes to the new update, we've got a couple of new features. The main kind of features we've gotten is the new updated map, which is really cool. We'll talk about that in a minute. The gameplay modifiers, again, we'll talk about that in a minute, and then the decorator. And I think we'll talk about the decorator first, because one of the comments I got when I did my initial review, or the reaction to the Bethesda's video, the May update, I got a few people were kind of saying, "Oh, Crimson, you're coming across a little bit salty or a bit kind of expectant," and for the most part, I was, because my expectations were set way too high, which is it's a constant thing in today's climate. We expect something that realistically we're not going to get. Let me explain that a little bit. So, if you're familiar with my channel, I've been playing Starfield since the very beginning, and I quite enjoy the game. A lot of people, they've played the game, they've moved on, which is fair enough. But I'm a really big fan of the shipbuilder specifically. Like, I enjoy the game at its core. Even if it isn't the shipbuilder, I'd still play it, but I probably wouldn't play it as much. The concept of the shipbuilder to me is awesome because, like myself, like a lot of people who watch my videos and comment and stuff, the idea of being able to kind of build your own ship, it's something it's quite new, at least to me. Other games have done it, and in some cases they've done a decent job, but I think Bethesda is the best at allowing anyone to kind of pick up, just kind of pick up and play, like you don't need to have a kind of a degree in CAD or 3D modeling or stuff like that. So the idea of anyone could build their kind of their dream ship within reason, obviously. So yeah, so when Todd initially said, "Oh, we're going to be getting some," like he said in that in the interview on the podcast, I think last week, he said, "Oh, there's going to be a ship update coming out this week." Myself and I suppose a few other people, we were thinking, "Okay, cool, we're going to get some new parts." Like, we heard about this ship update for a while. Bethesda mentioned, quality of life improvements to the ship and stuff and new features. So I was expecting to get, new parts. Like, if you go through the shipbuilder in the game, you'll see that you'll have, part A, wing A, side piece A, but there's no B. It's just A. And it's kind of like, why is it A? It makes me think that there's pieces there that Bethesda haven't implemented yet. And with how Bethesda kind of operate with their stuff and just looking at the concept art of the game, and obviously you can't look at concept art because concept art is only one thing, but I was expecting the new parts to come, and that's kind of why I was a little bit salty. If we kind of, now that I've had time to kind of mold with it, because like I said, with the decorator, what we got, initially I was a little bit like, I'm not a huge fan of decorating interiors, personally. But then I kind of forgot myself, and I've had a few comments from people that have kind of opened my eyes to the decorator and just how fun the decorator is. Like, I spent a good percentage of a stream on, I think, last Friday, just decorating a ship, and it's very fun. The outpost builder is something that I'm not really a fan of, just because it seems like they've tried to do the settlement system from 76, the outpost system from 76, the camp system rather. And while I don't necessarily I don't dislike it, it's definitely not what, it's like, I want to make a home. I don't want to make an outpost for manufacturing materials. And the ship decorator gives us more of that home when it comes to stuff like that. And after playing around with it, I have to say I really am enjoying it. And I think I'm not the only one. And in the Discord, again, plug in the Discord. There's been a lot of people that have been enjoying kind of fiddling with stuff. I've seen some cool pictures of some custom builds and stuff. But here's where, again, just talking about the decorator, here's where things I think get a little bit kind of. See, I want to say, here's where things get a little bit, not presumptuous, but when it comes to the hab system, having the empty hab versus the non-empty hab, if you compare the differences, obviously the default habs have a lot of different pieces to make up that hab. They've got tables, chairs, monitors, computers, lots of clutter, lots of different stuff. And for the most part, you can do a somewhat decent job of kind of, setting up said habs. But you're not going to be able to recreate a one-to-one of the engineering room or of the science lab or the control room. And you may be thinking, Crimson, why would you want to? You already have those habs. And it's not that you necessarily would want to, it's that I think it'd be cool if we had the option too. See, one of the things with the kind of the shipbuilder or the shipbuilder itself, and why I think everyone was looking for parts, is we played around with it for quite a while and we've had fun with it. But there's like just certain things we can't do that I wish we could do. And I feel like with the decorator, it's definitely added so much more that we can do. There's still stuff I wish we could do. And again, you're thinking, oh, Crimson, you're expecting an awful lot. And I am to an extent, yeah, like I'll admit that. Like, currently, we've got an awesome system and we can make ships like homes. We can. And when mods come out, which realistically they'll probably come out in a couple of months, we'll be able to. There'll be probably dozens, if not hundreds, of mods that will add different pieces of clutter and objects and stuff to the decorator. But for the most part, with it, there's still stuff I'd like to see them add, and I hope they would add it. But I guess we'll just have to see. I think the bottom line with it, going on a tangent, is I think that they did a really cool thing by adding the decorator. I think it's something that initially a lot of people probably didn't really think they wanted. I know some people did want it, and that's fair. But now that it's out and play around with, I do like it, and I just hope that they'll kind of keep updating it. Like they won't just kind of be like, okay, this is here, play with it, whatever. We're now going to focus on something else, So yeah, that's pretty much it regarding the kind of the decorator, and I'd love to know your guys' opinion, because like I said, like there has been times when even myself I've been maybe too expectant of things. When it comes to the decorator, are you guys happy with the decorator as is? Is there things you'd like to kind of see them add in? I know, again, it's weird saying, like, oh, we'd like to see them add this. Obviously, it's not even been out a week, but it's just to kind of, start a dialogue, just talk about things. The next thing is the map, which I think is a phenomenal addition to the game. Like, a lot of people have been kind of saying the same thing. Like, this map is probably one of the coolest iterations of a map that we've seen in a game. Specifically, like, Starfield or this sort of game. Like, I've seen some people have said that it's quite similar to how Skyrim did its map, which I can see. I can see where they're coming from. I've never looked closely with it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of how how Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy did its map, where it was kind of real time, which I quite like. Now, obviously just with the real time, there's also the other elements of it. Of when you're exploring areas, you can see certain things, like you can see indentations in the terrain. You can see where the lakes are, where the water is. You can see where there's structures, be it POIs or just generic structures that don't even have like a location. Which I think this feature is probably going to be one of the most powerful features they've added to the game, the map. Because for new players, it can be quite daunting. You land on a planet and your objective could be, okay, I need to go to this location and kill this NPC pirate. And you're thinking, okay, you'll go kill him. And once you kill him, you pull up your map and you're like, I just see a blank kind of blue background. I'll just travel to my ship. But now when you pull up the map, you can see, okay, there looks to be some sort of a settlement up to the north. Or to the south, there looks like there might be a cave structure. And it'll kind of snowball the exploration kind of elements of the game, which is, again, like that's a big thing. Obviously, it's great for returning players and players who are still playing the game because more exploration is good. But the big thing, like I said, is I think for new players, it's going to be huge. Like anything to make like Bethesda games in general can be very daunting for someone that's kind of first experienced it. Like we've a couple of people in the Discord, one person, Mantis, big fan of the channel, friend of the channel, fan of the channel. I mean, he is a fan, but he's also a friend of the channel. And he recently started playing Fallout and Skyrim and stuff, and he's kind of latched on to Skyrim or Fallout, sorry, and he's been like kind of playing it, and he's been kind of going through it and getting tips and stuff, and he's kind of been relaying the kind of the feelings we initially had when we first played it, and it kind of made me realize, like I said, the point I was making of the game's very daunting. You don't know what to do. You're almost afraid of making the wrong step, and realistically, you can't make the wrong. Well, you probably could make the wrong step. It's like if you playing Fallout New Vegas and you try and head straight north from Goodstrings. That's not the right step by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what I mean. Like the map is basically going to make it easier for new players, which I think is a big thing, especially with it being on Game Pass. Like the whole kind of reasoning behind Game Pass, they want to get you trying a game. They're like, okay, this is a game I'll play. I don't have to pay for it. I'll download it or I can play it on cloud. And then they play it and they get you hooked. You're playing it for 4 or 5 hours. You're like, this game is awesome. Let me download it. And then you spend 10, 20 hours. You're like, I really like this game. Maybe I'll buy it. And that's kind of, again, I'm not a marketing strategist or anything like that. I'm assuming that's kind of the big pull behind Game Pass. I know a couple of people in the Discord have been saying that's kind of how they got into Starfield. They started out on cloud because it was free on Game Pass, and then they bought a copy of the game. Like, this is awesome. So yeah, that whole thing of keeping kind of the new players, keeping them enthralled and interested and knowing what's going on is amazing. Now the other part of the map feature, which is the kind of the built-in fast travel system, where when you're on planets and stuff, you're on New Jameson or New Atlantis, and you've landed and you're like, oh, I really need to head to the well to like grab something, but I don't want to have to go through several different loading screens. Well, now you can. You just pull up your scanner and there's the press A, I'm going to the well, bang, I'm at the well. It's like, oh, now I need to go to the UC distribution center, I want to pick up some ammo. Pull up your scanner, bam, I'm there. You can also do it on the map. Like that feature alone, kind of, whether Bethesda intended or not, it's kind of completely negated this whole like meme that you might have seen with Starfield when it first came out. It's like, if Bethesda made a game and it's just loading screen, loading screen, loading screen. Which I never really understood that realistically, because it's like, games have loading screens. I played Mass Effect 1. Our characters would spend like probably 40% of their game time in an elevator, listening to a radio broadcast tell me of something I'd already done, Excuse me. I'm sick, I do apologize. But yeah, so that kind of feature in itself is a big, again, another big one, because it's cutting the time at which you need to kind of explore. And obviously, you don't have to. You can walk the whole way and stuff, which is perfectly fine. If you're an immersive sort of person, you'll enjoy that. And I do too. Sometimes I enjoy just walking around like New Atlantis or Aquila or Hopetown or, Neon and stuff. But sometimes I'm just like, I need to get here, grab my ammo and go. And yeah, that's, in regards to the map and stuff, I think the map alone, I would wager that if it had have came out as just a one-off update, it would have been, it's huge for the game. Now, players who are currently playing, they may not agree with me, because like I said, it's more catered. I feel like it's more beneficial to new players. It's still beneficial, but And then finally, when it comes to the last thing we're going to focus on, is the gameplay menu, the little being able to tweak things. And I will say that it was a very nice addition. And it's something that some games do, but it's the first time we've gotten it from Starfield. I feel like it's probably the first time we've gotten it really in a single-player game of this caliber, to my knowledge. And it completely changes how you play the game. Like, Bethesda games have always been played the way you want to play. I'm pretty sure Todd Howard has said that at least a dozen times. And that's very true. And in Starfield, you can play the way you want, but this menu gives you more of an opportunity to play the way you want. You feel combat's too challenging, you can crank it down to easy. You feel space combat's too easy, crank it up. Maybe you don't want to have to worry about carry weight. Now you can make it so that you have an extra 1,000 pounds of carry weight. Maybe you want to be a gourmand who goes around making and sampling the finest food, and you want to rely on food to heal you. You can now bump it so that food basically is better for you. Maybe you want to add a survival element to it. You can. This gameplay, again, it's another feature that while it's kind of sitting kind of 50-50 on who it's useful for, because it's useful for new players who are like, maybe they're finding the game a little bit too difficult, they want to like tweak something in particular. But it's also useful for the kind of the diehards like myself who have over 1,000 hours in the game and we want to try something different. Now, that being said, with the gameplay element, I was hoping for a survival mode, and you can almost have a survival experience in the game. You can tweak a lot of things, but the one thing you can't tweak is there's not a lot of ship stuff, which I was kind of hoping for. One of the things I think the game needs to get a true survival mode is the ability to use fuel, because that's one of the things Todd Howard said at when he was first talking about the game. He said that fuel was a thing right up until the very end. You needed to constantly refuel. And you can see that in game, because anytime you land on a planet, random POIs, they'll have helium deposits. They'll have the big tanks of helium you can hit up. All of the kind of the main quests that have you like going off to some random ship, be it Crimson Fleet or the UC Vanguard, or even some of the side quests, those big ships will have helium deposits or like helium tanks that you can steal helium from. So that's clearly a feature they wanted to add, and it's weird to me that they haven't kind of added it in. Now, the only thing I could think of is realistically, it's probably a little bit more difficult to implement than just a simple on-off switch. But hopefully, down the line, we'll get a big update. Or not a big update. We'll get they'll update it and add it in, because that would be awesome. Like, I know not everybody would enjoy a kind of a survival experience. But for me, as somebody who, I do apologize, you might hear me kind of snorting a little bit. My nose is a bit blocked. Like, not everyone might enjoy that whole aspect of, survival mode. And I get that, but it's kind of like I was saying, people should be able to play how they want to play. And if you want to play where you need to eat, sleep, and drink, and you need to constantly refuel your ship, or you'll get stuck out in space, you should be able to. Same way if you want to tweak it so that you literally never have to worry about meds, because one stim pack, one aid item will heal you to max almost immediately, and you've got max carry weight, and vendors have insane inventories, But yeah, that's pretty much it with that. The one thing I will kind of add is, obviously, going forward with the updates, this update has been good. Like, the initial kind of, from what I'm seeing from the kind of the gaming outlets, like media outlets, is people are saying Starfield did a good job, which is, there's a smug part of me that's kind of sat there with with my arms crossed, like, I told you guys, and obviously, you don't want to be that smug guy, because that level of smugness is kind of the same kind of attitude in a way of the people that hated on Starfield, but the thing a lot of people need to remember is this is Bethesda, Like, they made Elder Scrolls, they made Fallout, and some people might add, yeah, but they made Fallout 76, and Fallout 76, it's not a game for everybody, but look at it now, Had 1 million concurrent players a couple of weeks ago, which is insane. That's a good boost for it. I enjoyed the game. But anyway, this is not to talk about Fallout, this is to talk about Starfield. So, overall, update was really good. I'm really happy with it. Going forward, I'm excited. There's another update that'll probably be coming out before the new expansion. The new expansion's coming out in fall. Realistically, it'll probably be September. So we'll probably get another update maybe around June, middle of June. And then that update would tie us off until September era, maybe. But yeah, I think Bethesda did a good job. And I think that it's nice seeing people like kind of the dynamic, the narrative now being kind of one of more positivity, because I enjoy the game, and as much as ultimately what it should be irrelevant, you know, like what people think of what, you know, your interests, you know, like if I like this and you don't, like that's irrelevant, you know, it's whatever. We all have our opinions. It is nice when the game gets the recognition it deserves, you know, and I think that like in a year's time, 2 years time, I think this game is going to be a lot bigger than it currently is. Because like they said at the Bethesda said, this is the start of a completely new journey for Bethesda. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Rant kind of aside and stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Obviously, everyone has a different opinion, and I'd like to know like what your guys' opinion about this new update. Like, are you happy with it? Is there things that you kind of would like to see them add? Because obviously, they're going to keep adding stuff, but there's nothing wrong with kind of wanting more. You know, that's what they always say. They always say, what is it they say? You always want to leave them wanting more. I think that's what they say anyway. Yeah. But this has been Crimson, signing out from my my new office on my ship that is completely not decorated at all, as you can kind of see there in the background. Let me show you. I accidentally opened this. I opened these doors and I have no idea how to close them. And I'm just like, let me close the doors. But yeah, also Cora's there somewhere. Where is Cora? She was. I put down that thing to block off the ladder and she was like teleporting. Cora, you up here? Nope. My entire crew is gone. Okay, but yeah, anyway. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this sort of content, and check out some of my other videos. Bye bye.